Hello and welcome to this week's Remote Art Club. We are going to create our rainbow colouring pencils. Okay, for this you will need a piece of watercolour paper which you can cut down to a square, some masking tape if you have it, but don't worry if you don't, you can use sellotape or no tape is fine, a piece of kitchen towel. You'll need a pencil, a rubber and a ruler. You're going to make a template for this one. So you'll need a piece of blue card, or any colour card, mine's blue, a pair of scissors, and that's your little template you're going to create. And then I'm going to use Anna Linkies, but if you don't have Anna Linkies, you can use your watercolours. And most importantly, your cup of tea, and I've even got a slice of cake. Right, get yourself sorted and I'll meet you back here soon. Hello, welcome back. So hopefully you're sitting comfortably, you've got your tea or your coffee or your drink by your side and you're ready to start painting. So I've got everything I need. I'm going to use my Anna Linkies, but you can use just normal watercolours for this, that's absolutely fine. As I said, you'll need your pencil, your ruler, I've got a rubber, selection of brushes, piece of card for your template, and I'm going to use a pen, but just so it shows up on the camera. Okay, so we're going to have our little rainbow pencils lined up along our page. So I'm going to put my paint brushes to one side. Now, I'm actually going to use this ruler, and that's going to be the width of all my pencils. So you can use something else to draw around. You can use a slightly larger ruler if you want slightly larger pencils, completely up to you. So now I'm going to make my pencil maybe longer than I want, because then I can play around with what it looks like on the page. So hold my ruler in place without it's a bit slippy on this card. In fact, I've got an idea. A bit of tape like that will just help stop that moving around. Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to now put the point of my pencil on. That's just a little triangle. I'll just do some little lines like that. It'll look a bit like a wave, okay? Brilliant. So that's my pencil template. So I'll cut that out. I'll cut the triangle part there. Okay, and then actually what I'm going to do is I'll draw around this like this first of all. So I've got one here. Like I said about using templates, it helps you think about your composition, your layout. So do I want my pencils really tall like that with not a lot of space at the top there? Or do I want them down a bit so I've got a bit more space? Or you could even have a go at doing them at different levels. So I think I'm going to have mine about there at that height. So now I can start to draw around my template. First pencil. And then it gets a bit easier, a bit quicker as you go along, because you don't have to do two lines. You can use the line of the previous pencil for your next pencil crayon. So I'm going to check I've got all my colours, so my red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Now another great thing about templates is you can then cut into your template further, so you get the tip of the pencil in the right position on each one of your pencils in your drawing. So then again you go back, and you just draw around that roughly. Just going to help you get it in the same place each time. I'm just going to go over that by hand just to link all that up. Now my pencils are at slightly different levels, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to stick with that. That can be part of the design. Okay, now what I want to do now is go down each half of the pencil. So again, what you could do is you could divide your template in half. And I would keep this template because you can use it again and again and again. Because what you could do is then just tape that back together, and then you can just take it apart really easily each time you need to, if you want to. So place that half on each pencil, and a really light pencil line down the middle. It just saves you having to measure things and do things with a ruler. Means all your measuring can be done once, and then this can just be repeated however many times. So, I'm going to take my tape . There we go, then nothing is wasted. You can use that again and again because I've taped it back together like that. Excellent. Okay, so I'm working on a square piece of paper. My pencils haven't quite come to the end of the page, so I'm going to get some more tape, a little bit like that, and just extend that border a bit. And then what I will do is when it's all dry and I untape it, I'll actually just cut off the edge so I go back to an even, so I've got the even amount of paper on both sides. I'm just going to pop the leads in, rub out my colours, and then I'm going to make a start. So in we go with the reds. I've got my piece of paper. So if you watched our previous videos, you'll know that this was one of my little tips to using Anna Linky's. So you paint the colour on your page, let it dry, and then you use this as your palette because the colours are so bright. Now the red might take one or two coats of paint, one or two layers. But what I want at this stage is a really pale base colour in each pencil. So red, now onto orange. You might want to wait a little bit of time for them to dry, so when you go down this one with a wet brush, you don't cause any bleeding. That's where your colour runs into the other. So I've got really pale orange there, yellow, now some of these might be a bit too pale, so you can always go back to your actual tablet of colour and transfer some more colour over. Green. Again, I'm going to go back to my tablet of colour just to get a little bit more on there. Now I want my blue. And I'm just going to do a little bit like that just to take some of this blue off, because I want, this is really vivid, this blue, but I want it quite light. I'm going to start over on this side because my green's still a little bit wet. So if you're using your normal watercolours like these, you can just be putting your paint into your lid and working from your lid. So I want my indigo colour now again, so that's a really lovely deep purple colour. Long brush stroke down there. Bit of water on my brush just to help. A nice long brush stroke down the pencil. Then I want my violet colour, so very light. Purpley colour. So it should look a little bit different from your Okay. Now I'm going to go to the tablet of colour, and I want one half of these pencils to be a little bit darker in colour, so it's just the second layer of that colour, but only on one half of each pencil, but make sure it's the same half, so the same side. So for instance, on mine, the right side of the pencil is going to be the darker colour, so just an additional layer of colour on one side of each pencil. So red on that one. So whatever the colour of the pencil, that's what you want to do, the colour of the second layer. Yellow, to make that thicker, you might just have to use a little less water. So I'm coming straight off the tablet of colour for these, because that's just going to make it a little bit more intense and a little bit thicker. Now the blue, I might actually go back to my piece of paper because it's so bright. So I've taken it off my piece of paper as opposed to the palette. Just going to work down that centre line first. And the more layers you put on, the darker the colour will become. So it's up to you really. If you want to go a bit darker in your layers, then you can. But I would just wait for each layer to dry in between. That way you give the watercolour paper a bit of a rest as well between your layers. I'll probably do the same for my purple. So off the piece of paper and not the palette. Right, I need to leave that to dry, so before I go on to this piece here. So you can pause your video now, let that dry, and then join me back here in a minute or two and we'll move on to the tips of our pencils. Hopefully now that's nice and dry, I'm actually going to go along and just rub out some of my pencil lines at the top of my pencils here before I go in with the paint, because some of them are quite heavy. gently brush them away. I would wait till it's completely dry to do that, because you don't want any of the rubbings getting into the paint or smudging any wet paint across your page. Okay, so let's use a smaller brush for this. We've got a brown in this Analinki set. So if you're using your Analinkis, we're going to want to just make a lighter brown though. A bit of a more of a beige colour. So we're actually going to use our white. And I'm just going to pop that in the lid of the set here. Wash my brush, and then I'm going to go to the brown and I want to make a bit of a beige colour. So you can colour mix these like you would watercolours. They're a little bit trickier because the colours are so much more intense, so it does take a little bit of practice. Rubbing out a few more of my pencil lines before I start. Okay, happy with that. Now I'm going to pop a little bit of water into that mix because I want that beige colour to go over all of these pencils. So my colour's getting a little bit lighter, so what I don't want it to get too light. So just a little bit more white, a little bit more brown. Just be careful, especially on these brighter, there we go, like on the blue, they will catch and bleed much more than watercolour do. So just go really gently around these edges with the brighter colours. There we go, it's caught the purple there. If it catches a bit too much, just soak it up with a bit of kitchen towel, okay, whilst it's wet. Okay, so I've got the beige of each of my pencils, and I want to go in with some more brown into that mix there. A little bit more water. So into my palette goes a little bit more brown, and again make sure this is dry before leaning on it. Little half line there to halve the tips of the pencils. Again, the dark half. So just keep making sure you've got enough of that colour. So I've just mixed up a little bit more brown with some water. Again, be careful not to get too much of that other colour in there. Okay, so now all that's left to do is the tips of our pencil. So you want these to be as bright as possible. So I'm just going to work straight off the tablet of colour. Again, you can do this if you're using your watercolours, just straight off your tablet of colour. So I'm giving my paintbrush a really good wash in between each colour. So I'm going to come back to my bit of card for my really bright blue. Same for my purple, so it's come from my piece of card. I might need to just give that another layer. Okay, and then last but not least, so you could leave your painting there if you like it like that, or you could just do a little squiggle of colour . Coming from each pencil. And there you have it, your rainbow pencils. So please give it a go. As I said, you can use watercolour if you haven't got the Anna Linkies. The Anna Linkies are available to buy on our website, somethinglessboring.co.uk, in our shop. And if you do have a go at this and you like what you've done, share it with us on social media, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on more videos like this. Have fun! Bye!